everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, a super special episode. We have a special guest, Andy Davies from the UK. He's
Hi
got his
guys.
phone. Hey, hi, Andy.
Hello.
Of course, Carlos, my friend here. So we're gonna be talking about the Audi TT, the beloved Audi TT. Everyone that knows my channel knows that I started the channel with the TT, and obviously the UK is big on the car, and we're gonna talk about why and what are the big differences between the US and the UK. But Andy, first of all, introduce your channel. Tell people what your channel is about.
Okay, yeah. So good evening, both of you, or good afternoon, should I say? So my name is Andy. I have a channel called the ANDYCHARGER channel on YouTube, and it is totally based on the Mark 1 TT. And the reason I started it was my TT had a problem with the drive shaft, the CV boot, the drive shaft, and I couldn't find any help anywhere. And I'm not a mechanic, so I thought, well, surely even I can do this. So I thought, right, I'm going to teach myself. And with a lot of trial and error, I managed to change the drive shaft, change the CV boot. It probably took me about 4 weeks in all, but the video is only about 20 minutes long if you want to watch that. So, and from then I've expanded the channel out to cover various TT meets in the UK. I do a series called TT Meets TT, where I work with other TT owners in the UK. We review their cars and talk about their cars and check out all the mods. So it's it's been a really interesting 18 months on the channel, I think. So yeah, really pleased to be here, guys, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, of course, it's a pleasure for us, and
Absolutely.
we're all fans of the TT. Carlos needs to understand why the fascination, right?
I need to understand. That's the first key question I got for you guys. Why TT? I want to know why.
TT? Why? Go ahead. You go first, Andy.
Okay, well, it's one of those cars that I was looking when to pick up a project car, and I thought, look, I need something that I can tinker with, I can look after, I can maintain, and it will become an all-time classic. And I think the TT is already a design classic. It's always been known as an actual like style icon. So I figured if I can take that car and I can maintain that for 10, 20, 30 years, that one day it'll be worth a lot of money. However, what I'm finding out is they cost an awful lot of money to keep them going. So that's my reason. Was I saw it as an investment for the future and a bit of a fun project, really. But yeah, absolutely love it, and it's really popular here in the UK.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. For me, Carlos, well, I had the original one. I bought it when it came out. I had a coupe, a green coupe. It was a 180. And I bought it literally the day after September 11.
Oh, Lord.
I was so depressed with the world. I went to a dealership, and literally people were looking at me like, "What are you doing here? Are people buying cars, you know, the next day?" But I wanted some joy. I enjoyed that car. I crashed it later, and I said one day maybe I buy another one. I restore it, whatnot. And then many years later, I bought the 225 Roadster with the baseball seats.
Very nice.
And I found a great example, and then I dedicated myself to doing restoration and a few mods, which I didn't document for the channel because I didn't have the channel yet. That would have been great to have it. And then it became my show car, and I still have it. It's my daily driver, and I enjoy it, and I think it's a future classic, or it's a classic already, if you ask me. You know, I remember knowing that this was the only car that was exhibited in the Guggenheim Museum. And I said, why is this? It's the industrial design and the fact that that was a concept car that went straight into, you know, production, right? And I don't know any other car that has done that, and maybe some other, but I mean, that was special about the TT. So I always like the platform, dependable. Yes, it takes a bit of money to maintain, but they give you a lot of smiles for miles. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine being a small car. You know, a lot of them favor in the UK the smaller size. We're both islanders from Puerto Rico, and we grew up with small cars, so it's something that we always enjoy.
Yeah,
but I do envy the scene in the UK. I mean, we talk about those gatherings and how, you know, people in the UK appreciate the car. Every time I travel there, I see some of them on the street. I'm like, oh, there's another one, and And it's not the same in the US. I wish it was, right? There's some groups, and I'm part of those groups, but there's not that appreciation, maybe because in the US they like bigger cars. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, I think there's just not so many around in the US. From what the feedback I get from fellow TT enthusiasts in the US is they don't see a second TT driving down the road. And if they do, it's a real event. Whereas here, I can go to the shop and I'll drive past another TT. And even still, I still find that people are now acknowledging the Mark 1. So if you're driving a Mark 1, you drive past another Mark 1, then you're starting to get a bit of that sort of almost like Volkswagen recognition where you're giving the side. It's a bit like you're giving a little wave. So it's definitely getting more popular. And I think the TT scene in the UK in the last year, it has exploded, particularly the Mark 1. We've gone from, say like maybe 30 cars at an event to having, as we said in October, we had 135 Mark 1 TTs at an event.
Wow.
And of all colors, all shapes, all designs, and there wasn't, I don't think there was two the same. So everyone's put their own slight spin on the car. So it's very unique.
I've watched the videos and it's amazing, Carlos.
Wow. I can only imagine. So that leads me, to think the next question. What are the good, the bad, and the ugly of owning a TT?
You go first, Andy.
Oh, the good.
Good. Let's go for the good first.
Yeah, I think Evan's already touched on it. I think it's the smiles per miles. I think the car is such. It just, you get in that car, and I've got a 3.2 VR6, and I've got a 225 Roadster, and I've driven the 3.2 tonight, and you just put your foot down, and the sound, the exhaust, that's the best bit about it. It's such a small car with such a big sound. It's really trying to tell someone it's coming, which is great. I think that's probably the good about it. The bad about it, I think, is now I'm finding it even in the UK, is a lot of the parts that were once readily available are no longer being made. So trying to get hold of some parts is difficult. We've got a lot of breakers in the UK. So, for example, I had a subframe failed on my 3.2 not long before Christmas, and I had to get a second-hand one from a breaker because they just don't make them anymore. You can't get them brand new. So I think that is probably going to be one of the bigger challenges, one of the bigger headaches. And the ugly is probably a bit of a bone of contention for me. But being a 3.2 owner, there's this myth in the UK that they call it the rare manual. Whereas if you look at the stats, there's the same number of manuals as there are autos in the UK on the 3.2. But when you see them for sale, everyone wants the manual, and everyone says the rare manual. So that's probably the ugly. It's to me, I want to say it's not rare, guys. Right. It's not rare. It's the same. It's just more popular.
They want to make a perception that being manual is already rare.
Yeah.
And when you think about the population, though, there's a lot less people driving manual. So maybe from the driver's point of view, there's less capable driving manual.
Yeah.
For millennials and Gen Zs, they don't know how to drive manual. But I would say, again, smiles for miles. Is a very I love the transmission. Mine is a manual too. I love the sound it makes. I did put a Borla exhaust on it to make it sound a bit bigger. And it's peppy. It gives you great performance, and you feel you're going faster than you are for some reason. I think, and the car feels solid. It feels like it's one piece, and I always like that from the coupe. And the convertible is a bit different, but I really like that and enjoy it. And then obviously the design, that dash, I mean, it looks like $1 million. Okay, you could see some Bugattis, right? To see some of that aluminum pieces. I mean, the cars don't do that anymore. I mean, the manufacturers. So I think that's the good. The bad for me, I would say the convertible top. It's an ongoing challenge, right? I've decided to keep repairing mine instead of replacing it with a new non-OEM one. And I have to continuously repair the glass in the back and seal it against the canvas.
Especially the corners, right?
It's always a challenge. And then because water can go in there and cause some damage, which is the ugly for me. The water goes in there and it goes into the ECU, which is in the worst possible place, right? And I had to replace that because it got fried by probably moisture, and I had to buy another one, put it in. I think it's fried again because my key fob is not working. There's no way I can program it. So I think the ECU part of it is fried again, and it's a constant challenge, right? To use it with the elements and then repair that convertible top. But hey, at the end of the day, when the weather's great, you put the top down, and it still look like an amazing convertible car, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I did a video actually on how to repair the back glass, because trying to get the tension in the glass to keep it to stick and to get the glue to stick. So I did a video on it, and I got mine to stick, and I was so pleased. And where I put some padding in the recess to keep the tension on, I'd left that in there, and my wife had taken the car to work the next day, and it was a nice day, so she put the hood down to the sun come in and feel the wind in her hair. And when she got home, she said there was a really loud smash when I put the hood down. And I was like, really? And what she'd done is she put the hood down. Obviously, the glass had nowhere to go, and so all the effort of repairing the glass. So I had to get a new hood anyway. So so that's on my channel, the story of my hood.
Well,
so
I think you, me, Dominic, BWS, I think we all have a video repairing that glass, right? And different methods. Mine is magnets. I bought some magnets.
Oh, okay.
You might want to check my video, and I have magnets inside and outside, which I think it's better than the suction cups. But anyway. That we can make a whole other video.
The alternative,
how to fix the rear glass.
The alternative methods of fixing glass.
Right.
UK versus US.
Exactly.
Wow. You guys can go around and around that one.
Yeah, I think so.
How about recommended mods? You guys have seen, like you mentioned from that show that you went to, over 130 people showing up with their units in there. What did you see that stand out to you that were typical mods that people do for A, performance, and B, for pure appearance? And the same thing for you, Irving, in the US from what you have seen.
Go ahead, Andy.
Okay, yeah. So, well, I would say the standard mods in the UK tend to be a cone filter. It seems to be very popular. That seems to be what everyone goes for, with a catch can. So everyone wants to do a PCV delete and put a catch can in the car. Everyone wants to stick a front mount intercooler in the car. So we're looking with those sort of mods. That's where people seem to be focusing their energies. However, I did see a couple of really interesting mods at Ockham Bytes. I saw some guy that had put a diesel in the TT, an actual, in the Mark 1, which had a huge air filter on it, like I've never seen. I mean, that was something quite interesting. So I'd say that the really sort of popular mods tend to be ones that come up quite often tend to be cone filter, along with the catch can and the front mount intercooler. They seem to be the very common ones. But there are some alternatives. I've seen a couple of cars that are pushing 450, 470 brake horsepower, Mark 1 now.
Wow.
One particular guy that I see that doesn't live too far from me is doing 270. He spent 35 grand on his car, on his engine.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
But it's a lot of money on a Mark 1 TT.
It's probably overkill, you know.
Yeah, but it's fabulous. I mean, to see it as well, and it's a Quattro Sport. So in the UK, we have the Quattro Sport, which is
right.
It was a limited edition anyway, although the numbers are much lower. So they're probably, I think the 3.2 is going to come down there, but it's a Quattro Sport base, and he's had this huge engine added into it, and it's immense. Looks immense. So that's probably my favorite mod I've seen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for me, so I did the Borla exhaust. I did downpipes. Catch can, I installed one myself. I don't know. I thought it was gimmicky. I don't know. Maybe I'll remove it at some point. I did install a larger intercooler, right? So that then I could tune it. I tune it to stage 2. It's making 285 brake horsepower now, which is great. And actually, my mechanic, he's an expert on VW and Audi, and he said, Erwin, everything above 300, you are sacrificing the integrity of
pushing the limits.
Yeah, he said you will have to do other things, right, to make the car stronger, and because you know it's not designed to do that. And I think 285 in that little package, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It sounds great. That's mostly what I've seen. Obviously, the cold air filter, which I did change. I put a new speed, and if I'm honest, 2 weeks back I went back to stock because I didn't. After 2 years using it, the sound of it was like asthmatic, is the way I would describe it, and I wanted it more as a cruiser and a daily driver. So and I don't think I lost any performance there, but that's typically what you see, right? The people here, in the US, everything is big and they want more power and so on. And there's great manufacturers of some of that equipment here in the US. And then when it comes to appearance, I've done a lot inside. I've done some custom aluminum pieces that I ordered from a guy in Germany that had a machine shop, and everything is like with the TT motif to it.
And I just added pictures right here below.
Yeah, I should
some
put
of those mods.
some pictures of that. And I think it sort of completes the design. It's nothing above what it should be. I didn't go crazy with it. And then there's other aluminum dressing pieces in the engine bay that I bought in the UK. They're all from the UK, right? So every time I used to go there, I used to bring some of those, and it looks nice. You can open the hood, and if you go to Cars and Coffee, and people always appreciate that. And other than that, I think the car doesn't need it. I mean, and I admire you, Andy, because your cars are stock, right? They're OEM fully?
Absolutely, 100% OEM, my cars.
Awesome.
And it's the way I think if you want to keep a car, or you want your car to be worth some money down the line, you want it to be an investment. I think the cars that people are going to be sought after are going to be the OEM cars, because if cars have been messed with and they've been bits added onto it, it does, as long as you can take those parts off and put it back to factory and back to stock, I think you'll be okay. Right. But once you start down that road where we talk about front mount intercoolers now, if you want to put a decent front mount intercooler into certain bumpers, you have to start cutting the bumpers away and making them fit, and there's pipes hanging out. Well, that's and then if you have an accident, you need to replace that. You're not going to find a bumper that's got bits cut out of it. It's it's a bit of a, and I think if you're trying to, you talk about power, if you're going over sort of 280, 300, you're going to have to start forging engines. It's it's going to start getting expensive. So I think there's a limit everywhere where you are. If you want to add modifications to the car, you're going to get to a certain ceiling where you're going to have done everything, and then there's a massive jump in cost if you want to really push it to the next level.
Right, and it's not just one little thing you have to get; is all these other things to be able to handle that.
Yeah. Brakes to handle it, clutch to handle it, gearbox. If you're going to start uprating
internals.
Yeah.
You go through the roof at that point, and you're like,
we can keep talking about this all day, Carlos. But I do have one last question for Andy. I will do another episode. Andy, you need to host us in your channel next.
Absolutely. You're always welcome on my channel, guys.
That'll be awesome. Every time I post a picture on Instagram of my baseball seats, I get bullied by people in the UK.
Really?
It's like hate, trolls, how ugly they are, how horrendous. I should be ashamed. This was stupid. Why did Audi do that? What is it with Britain and baseball?
Do you know, I think we have something in the UK called Marmite, which you may have in the States. You may know the phrase for Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. It really is. It's very divisionary. And baseball, I would say on the whole, everyone tends to love baseball in the UK. From what the people I've met, we've actually got a breaker in the UK that breaks purely just baseball stitch interior cars, so that you can pass it. Yeah. So so that particular guy, he's got a black baseball stitch interior front and back seats, which is quite unusual. So not the normal tan leather that you see.
Oh no, the unicorn. My next door neighbor has a red TT with the black baseball. And he didn't know it was a unicorn until I told him.
Massively, yeah. So I've only seen one full black baseball stitch interior, and it's a coupe as well, so it's got front and back seats, whereas most of the time you see them as a roadster, you see the two seats, but this has got the back seat as well in the same style, so it's It's quite special. But yeah, it's
I think it
awesome.
looks great, and honestly, the quality of the leather is a bit different from the normal one. I mean, they look like they're still new and they're 22 years old, right? But it's not because I love baseball. I just think the
design.
it looks great in the roadster, but I get so much hate, Andy. I need
really.
to
I think it definitely is a popular thing. I think in the UK, most people will see it if they say, "Oh, it's a baseball stitch interior." They do like it, but I also get that some people, there's another one in the UK with people with that going back to the Quattro Sport. Is the Quattro Sport came with Recaro pole position seats.
Oh yeah.
But they had an option from the factory that they could come with the comfort seats, the standard seats. So now, if you've got a Quattro Sport that's got the comfort seats that's been put in there instead, it's almost seen as that's not a car you want. You only want the ones that have got the pole position, and it affects the resale value horrendously. Yeah, believe it or not, because any car's got the comfort seats in it, but not every car's got the pole position. So,
oh, you're right. You're right.
Sense. Makes sense. Total sense.
Yeah. All right. Listen, we can keep talking about the TT all
oh
night.
My gosh. Yes,
I think we might need to leave it there, Andy. It's
okay. Great to hear from you guys, though.
Great to have you in the channel. I'm gonna put your information down below again. Please follow Andy. Andy Charger is the channel on YouTube and on social media. All your links will be there. And we'll do another episode. Next time we're gonna be hosted by Andy. And I mean you can bring some of your friends in the UK. That'll be awesome.
Let's have a multi-TT YouTuber fest. Let's see if we can get as many people in. Yeah, but thanks for having me on tonight, guys, and you take care.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Carlos, for moderating. And remember to subscribe, guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you for following. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye all.
Bye.